You ever have one of those days when you realize the world runs on pride and pettiness more than common sense? That's the day I found out a grown man could nearly have a heart attack over a door. Yeah, an actual, literal door. All he had to do was let us prop it open, let the world spin on, and nothing bad would have happened. But sometimes folks would rather cling to their little scraps of authority than just live and let live. When that happens, well, you get a front row seat to the ugliest side of human nature. And let me tell you, it's a show you don't forget. So, picture this. I'm working for a two-bit moving company in North Bay. Industrial city, smells like old oil and concrete dust. You know the type. It's me, a couple of box trucks packed so tight you could have lost a house cat in there, and a crew of guys whose diet is mostly gas station burritos and sarcasm. On this particular morning, our job is to unload an entire warehouse of metal shelving into some abandoned paper mill downtown. The place is massive, echoey, locked up tight since there'd been a shooting nearby. Every door was locked. So I hustle over to security, and there's Darlene, mid-50s, face that says she's seen every kind of nonsense, and just flat out tired. She gives me a black rubber door wedge, tells me, just stick this under the door so you're not buzzing me every 30 seconds. I'm thinking, finally, someone gets it. So I do exactly what she says. Wedge goes under the heavy steel door, trucks start rolling, guys start yelling, pallets come out, the whole bit. Then in storms this guy. Later, I learned his name was Gerald, but right then, he was just an angry fossil in a wrinkled shirt, stomping down the hallway like a cartoon villain. "What do you think you're doing?" he bellows, red-faced, finger jabbing at the door like it called his mama a name. I try to be polite, tell him security said it was fine. Instantly, his face goes from red to purple. "I don't care what security told you. You will not leave that door open in my building." His building. Like we were peasants smudging his marble floors. Now, I'm not proud, but something in me snapped right then. Maybe it was the sweat, maybe just his tone. So I say, "Yes, sir," pull the wedge, close the door, and march right back to Darlene, who just rolls her eyes. That's Gerald. He does this to everyone. She tells me I can keep the door propped if I want, but now it's personal. Now it's about something way petty. See, there's a buzzer outside the loading bay. Every time you press it, security calls the office of whoever's in charge of that wing to come unlock the door. And guess whose office is right next to the bay? That's right, old Gerald. First time, I press the buzzer. Darlene answers, Gerald stomps down, unlocks the door, glares at me like I'm tracking mud. I smile, roll my palette through. 10 minutes later, we're back. Same routine. By the third trip, Gerald's breathing heavy. By the fourth, he's sweating. By the fifth, he actually stops and says, if you want to prop that door open, you can. And that, right there, is when I realize we've hit the point of no return. I look him right in the eye and go, "Oh, no, sir, I wouldn't want to break the rules." The look on his face, it was like he just tripped himself and needed someone else to blame. For 2 hours, 18 pallets, Gerald had to personally unlock that door. By the end, he looked ready to collapse. But here's the thing, that door, it taught me something about people with power. Sometimes they'll make everything harder for everyone, just to feel like they matter. And once you see it, man, you see it everywhere. Like, take the house I bought later. Cheap, rough little place on the edge of North Bay. It came with a messy history, unpaid fees, a half-built fence, liens that scared off anyone else. But I could swing it, finally, after years of moving everyone else into better homes. Only I couldn't actually live in it yet. Place was a wreck, previous owner was a hoarder, whole rooms just stacked with trash. So I parked my ancient RV in the front yard, start gutting the place myself. That's when the letters start rolling in. Notices about violations, about my unsightly RV, about my dumpster, my lawn. And, oh, by the way, I should join the Riverside Estates Association if I want to avoid trouble. I ignore them until they try to tow my RV. That's when I realized Gerald wasn't a fluke. He was a blueprint. The folks running the HOA were just a handful of retirees with too much time and too many clipboards, dying to matter again. And they just assumed I'd cave. First tow truck shows up, I'm eating a cold sandwich in my RV, see the lights out the window, stomach drops. Not from fear, but from knowing exactly who called them. I step outside, in my socks, and the driver, Miguel, looks relieved when I tell him this property isn't part of their association. He shrugs, hands me his card. I call my lawyer. My lawyer calls Miguel's company, and suddenly, there's a standing order. Nobody tows from my address unless I say so. But the HOA? They don't know that yet. So they keep calling tow trucks. Every time, Miguel or one of his buddies has to knock, ask if I called. I say no, and they charge the HOA for the wasted trip. About $500 later, they finally quit. But by then, the point's been made. You can't bully me into joining your little kingdom. Except, I had neighbors. Hank and Lorna. Champions of complaining. Never hello. Always, your trash is crooked. For 8 years, they found new things to whine about. Music, fence, shed, my mere existence. One summer, they want to raise the shared fence from 7 to 9 feet, so nobody feels watched. I say no, needs permits, don't want to deal with it. They disappear, then come back, offer to pay. I say no again. Hank leans in, says maybe they'll forget to complain about my shed if I help with the fence. That's when it hits me. Some folks think everything's a negotiation, even the law. So I buy a tape measure, spend the weekend moving my shed a full 10 inches away. Now it's perfectly legal. On Monday, I say no again. They got nothing left to say. Sometimes, the best revenge is following the rules. But all of that was child's play compared to what happened at work. I'd taken a steady desk job at a logistics company just for the health insurance. Everything's fine until a new manager, Craig, shows up. The guy's all about rules, 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 except he's blind to common sense. See, I have a severe allergy to alcohol-based products. It's not mild. This thing will send me to the ER. HR knows. It's on file, handled until Craig decides no exceptions. He sends out a memo. Everyone must use the provided sanitizer. No excuses. When I remind him about my allergy, he pretty much calls me a liar. You'll follow procedure, or you're fired. HR says ignore him. Union rep says don't worry, but Craig isn't letting it go. One morning, I walk in, and there he is, smiling at my desk, bottle of sanitizer in hand. Hold out your hands. I refuse. Tell him it could literally kill me. He laughs, grabs my wrist, squirts sanitizer on my skin, rubs it in like he's proving something. I try to get away, but he blocks me. My throat starts closing, chest on fire. I barely make it to my desk, grab my EpiPen, and everything goes black. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in a hospital bed, faces I don't recognize all around me. Craig? He got fired, arrested, hit with a restraining order. But you know what sticks with you? The fact that someone was willing to hurt you, just to prove they were right. When I finally get home, I'm exhausted. And that's when the last straw snaps. Family. I'd left home at 18. Parents treated me like free labor. Even after I moved out, they'd guilt me, manipulate me. For a while, I helped watch my younger siblings until I realized it was all about control. The breaking point came when my mom just dumped the kids on me for a whole day, no warning. I told her I'd only do it if I got paid. She lost it. Next day, my Nintendo Switch is gone. I call. Turns out one of the kids took it. I go over, and my dad's holding it, says I can have it back when I agree to help out more. That's when I understood my stuff, my time, my life. He thought it was all still his. So I take out my phone, start dialing the police. Suddenly, my mom screaming shoves the switch at me. Because bullies only feel brave when they think there are no consequences. I walked out with my Switch and my dignity. Haven't spoken to them since. Everything, the door, the HOA, the neighbors, my boss, my parents, taught me the same lesson. Entitlement is everywhere. And it only survives if you let it. But the moment that really drove home, that was Daisy. Daisy was our old golden mix, sweetest dog you could imagine. When she passed, The house felt empty in a way that echoes. My wife and I want to give away her things to someone who really needed it. Bed, crate, toys, food, the works. Put all online for free. A couple, Mark and Shelby, shows up. At first, they're polite, but the second they see all the stuff, their faces change, like they're calculating what else they can get. Shelby asks if we could also pay the adoption fee for the dog they wanted. Since you're giving us all this anyway, it just makes sense. I'm so tired by now, I just tell her no. Mark tries to guilt us, says we're wasting an opportunity to help. That's when I realize I'm done being the guy people take advantage of. We load up Daisy's stuff and drive it to the shelter instead. A volunteer thanks us like we've done something amazing. And you know what? Maybe we did. Not for the stuff, but for finally choosing where our generosity went. Driving home, I keep thinking about that stupid door in North Bay. About Gerald sweating bullets over a wedge of rubber. About Riverside Estates wasting money trying to control what they don't own. About Hank and Lorna trying to twist the law. About Craig nearly killing me just to win. About my dad holding my Switch hostage. It's all the same pattern. People who think if they push hard enough, you'll fold. Maybe that works sometimes. Not everyone has the energy to fight. Not everyone knows the rules. Not everyone feels safe saying no. But once you decide you're allowed to exist without permission, everything changes. You start seeing how small their power really is. These days, my house is livable. The RV's gone. The dumpster's gone. The HOA pretends I don't exist, just how I like it. Hank and Lorna won't make eye contact. Craig's a cautionary tale in the break room. My parents just a chapter closed. And Gerald? Sometimes I think about him, wonder if that door ever taught him anything. Or if he's still out there, throwing his weight around, never realizing how easy life could be if he just let people be. So, let me ask you, because I know you've got stories too. Where do you draw the line between being patient and being a doormat? Between letting things go and letting people walk all over you? Was I right to push back, to get petty, or did I just become another version of the problem? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear where you draw the line. And if any of this reminded you of your own run-in with the power-hungry, or you got a story of standing up for yourself, share below. Because trust me, there are a lot more doors in this world waiting to be held open or slammed shut.